Beautiful people. What's up? What's up? It's your boy Smith, man. Welcome to Smith the Speaker. This series is Free Game Sunday School. It's crazy how all of that came about. And really quick, just to bring you up to speed on that. There ain't nothing like giving away free game. And the thing about it is when as I evolve and I grow and I just see some of the pitfalls, the traps that exist that have been in place, specifically targeting young black men, then just just my conscience was like, man, we got to start giving some more free game away. And that's kind of how this all came about, this free game Sunday school. And then, I just added the Sunday school on there because a lot of folks think and believe, and it's not a knock on them. Is who you are is who you are. I make fun of, but it's not me to judge. That Sunday school is where the action is. That's where you need to be. You know what I'm saying? And so I just put the words together because if you look at our society, the play on words is part of the lexicon of this country, to kind of open up an area of ambiguity, which kind of impacts directly, specifically young black males. And that's why I've done all of this, to make the play on words, but also to be sharing some free game to hopefully we close that ambiguity and make it extremely insightful on young bros. Like this is what we want to offer you, so you understand that this is not, we've been down that road, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of young cats, you only know what you're introduced to. Nothing right or nothing wrong. It's just the facts of life. You know what I'm saying? So with all of that said, that's just a little history on how I came to the Free Game Sunday School series. We had our first episode last week with my good man, Mr. Stewart. And then today, again, is going to be another phenomenal brother. And we're going to bring him on real quick. But before we start, just some housekeeping stuff. Thank you for checking us out. My live stream, Smith the Speaker. You know how to find me, right? Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and then make sure you share it. Again, I'm about the cause, and I know it's easy for me to sit here and you don't know me, and I ain't about the money. I ain't trying to get rich. I've been broke all my life. Ain't nothing going to change that. You know what I'm saying? So just share it and make sure that I'm offering this free game to everybody, whether you're in Houston, whether you're in Chicago, California, or whatever. And then with that, just be mindful that this is an open dialogue to try to see where we can, put some paint where it ain't. And before I bring my man on really quick, I just want to say this. If you're in the LA area where my youngest son is and experiencing those fires, I understand the travesty that's going on. I cannot sit here and say that I understand. I imagine the pain and suffering that's going on. But I will say this, because I'm a human, I do not want anybody to lose their life. But at the same time, there has been back and forth going on about the lack of funds or the lack of energy or lack of personnel and equipment and response to the fires. Please don't judge that. I would ask you to act on that. You need to take an active part in your city's activities. And if their local fire department does not have the wherewithal to suppress their responsibilities, then it's up to you as the constituent to voice your concern and make change. And I'm going to say this, and my man Mike, who's about to come on, he's probably going to give me some pushback, but it is what it is. When things happen that's related to law enforcement, they get the help of the FBI, their partners, the CIA, Homeland Security, all of these other aspects. When fires break out, who do they have? They got to call, local other states, fire departments, or right now, we're getting stuff from Mexico, we're getting stuff from Africa, but there's not like a federal fire support system that these folks can rely on. Again, I'm off my soapbox. Welcome to the show. Let's get it started. I want to bring my man to the screen. My man, this is my man, Chief Merchandise Mike Carroll. I've been always call you Merchandise Mike, man. I know you earned the Chief, but I could call you Merchandise Mike, bro.
Hey Smith, I was somewhere. I was at a concert, and someone came up and, hey, you Merchandise Mike. You know, and I'm looking like, man, you know, they still remember that. You know what I mean?
Well, what's powerful about what you just said, Mike, bro? You know I love you, man. Is
Yeah.
that as a real person, as a real human, as we sit here, black man, you have the title of chief of police, but you went to a concert. You have connected the reality that it's not remote, it's not foreign. You can be the chief of police and still attend a concert, and someone walk up to you and be like, bro, you Merchandise Mike. I mean, that's reality, right?
Hey, Smith, I don't know if I ever told you about this one, though. This was spooky but good at the same time. I went to Ghana back in 2019. They had the big return where they were requesting African Americans to come back to Ghana. And so the one night, a young man had robbed one of my travel mates of her cell phone. Did I tell you that story?
No.
Okay, so she walked in her hut. We were living in these little banana huts. She walked in, she wasn't in there 5 minutes, and she started screaming. Someone snatched her cell phone and they ran out of her hut. And as they're running out, people gave chase. Now we're in a village in about 40 miles from a city called Accra.
Okay.
And so they gave chase to this young man, and they finally caught him behind one of the other huts. Another young man climbs a tree with a machete, and he's chopping the tree branches down with the machete. As the tree branches are falling, they're beating this young man with these tree branches. The guy with the machete jumps out of the tree, and he hit the guy in the back with the machete and split his back wide open, right? So now I'm videotaping this. And while I'm videotaping it, I come to realize these people don't know me. I don't even speak their language. So what they started saying in their language, from what I was told, is get his legs, get his legs. Now in law enforcement, we grab you by your legs so you can't run. What they did was they cut his leg off and threw him in the ocean and said that the fish would finish him off, right? So the next morning, I'm sitting here perplexed, still dealing with this. It's breakfast time. I'm sitting at a breakfast table. It's about myself and 6 other Ghanaian people, young men who were in their 30s, 40s, 50s. So while we're talking about this, someone else gave me another example where they normally take a tire, put it over you, set the tire on fire, because it's really impacting their tourism, right?
Right.
In this story, I'm sitting here kind of cringing, but I'm trying to keep a straight face. And one guy looks down the table and he said, I know you. I said, look, man, I'm from the United States. You don't know me. You know, because over there, everybody's dark skinned, bald head.
Right.
Confused with somebody else. He said, no. I know you. I said, you don't know me, man. I'm from the United States. He said, yeah, your name is Mike Carroll. You're the police.
Whoa.
And now I'm perplexed because I'm in the jungle of Africa. This guy know my full name. He said, I'm the police. He said, I know you. I was in your jail at North County. You good guy. I'm so glad that there was a God. I'm so glad that I was truthful and honest. I'm so glad that in the past, I always represented myself in a respectful way and treated people the way I wanted to be treated. Because imagine being in Ghana and he could have done anything in the world to me.
Absolutely.
No idea. My cell phone wasn't even working. So yeah. So that's why I say, man, no matter what you do in life, treat people the way you want to be treated.
Man, Mike, thanks for sharing that, man. That you know that it highlights the uniqueness of the world we live in, you know. Right. And I'll tell you this, Mike, before we get to the nitty gritty, because man, I just love chopping it up with you. One thing I appreciate about Mike, and I gravitate towards Mike, is he got a way of telling stories that bring you in, you know. But what's phenomenal about that is we're talking about different lands, different continents, crossing huge bodies of water, the ocean specifically. And the fact that this man, you guys had met and you didn't know that, but you guys had met, it kind of leads me to, I was talking to one of my young mentees in juvenile hall 2 weeks ago. And Mike, I was blown away because I was so ignorant and naive. This young bruh, he just turned 20, I believe. He thought you need a passport, man, to travel to different states.
Smith, I'm glad you're exposed to it because I used to work at juvenile hall, and that's exactly what I experienced. I'm gonna give you an example. I worked in Alameda County Juvenile Hall, and I used to teach the kids how to fill out job applications, how to conduct themselves on job interviews. One of the biggest challenges I had was teaching the kids their address, right? Because
Man.
someone would say, "Oh, I stay on 96 and Sunnyside." That's
Right,
not
right.
your address. You know what I mean? But that's
Right,
where they say that's their address according to them. And it's just the simple stuff that they don't know. And it
mhm.
take people like you and me to go back and try to educate them, because you can't really rely upon the system. The system is only going to give you so much. And you see in juvenile hall, at least when I worked there, they just shared movies with the young men, and they watched the movie and they may have some dialogue about it,
Mhm.
because everybody's at a different academic level
True,
and they don't have time to figure that part out. So
true.
it takes people like you to go out there and educate them and expose them to some stuff. So
Yeah, man, dude, that when he hit me with that, I like you with the old boy. I didn't want to laugh, but I
yeah,
smirked, and I'm like, nah, bro. You know what I'm saying? You don't need no passport to
yeah,
travel around the states.
yeah,
But yeah, no, and that's why again, right? I got you on, so I can be true to the Frederick Douglass saying, it's easier to build strong boys and repair broken men, and
right,
that's why I always reach out for you, because I know you make time, because we both have lived that environment to come up to where we are now. And so, with all of that said, I do want to share this before we get started, Mike, and I want you to hear this, because, folks, this is like the second or third time you've seen Mike either on my podcast or on my live stream. And for me to grow and to evolve into the man I am, I had to understand some things. I had to see some things. And y'all know I call him Merchandise Mike. You know what I'm saying? He's always been Merchandise Mike to me. And how did that come
yeah,
about? I want to tell you this really quick. Is me and Mike used to volunteer for the Solana Warriors, a youth football and cheerleader organization. I was a coach. Mike was on the admin executive board. And I seen Mike around. I'm coaching. That's what I do. I'm coaching. I don't really deal with the board. Although my wife was on the board, I don't really deal with
so,
it. Right. And so I remember going to Mike's sister and brother-in-law's house. It was a barbecue, might have been a birthday, might have been a football. I'm not really sure, but we was there. And it's the first time I ever had a chance to like talk to Mike. And when I first seen Mike, I heard he was officer, but I wasn't sure. And when I seen him, he wasn't in his officer gear like you see him now. He had on some jeans, some boots, looking real fly. He had his guns out. And when I mean guns, I mean that boy was working out. He was fit. He coming to the house from in the backyard getting a plate, and he must have had about a 7-pound steak. And I'm looking at him like, nigga, bro, it's not that serious. You ain't gotta flex on us like that. And what I say that, and Mike, I want to make sure you knew that, because in all transparency, I
yeah,
owe you an apology for judging you. At growing as a human being, I wasn't in the right frame of mind to understand where I was going and what I was doing, but things happen for a reason, and I had to see you like that, and because I had to recognize I'm judging you on some
right,
shit I don't even know you about. You know what I'm saying? And now after 20 plus years, I see. Mike is one of the reasons. I don't want to say he's the main, but he has some movement in me to want to get healthy, want to start working out, because I didn't work out at all ever. You know what I'm saying? I didn't worry about what I was eating. Now I do. And Mike hit me one day. He was like, Smith, I'm 3% body fat. I was like, God damn, I'm probably 35. So, Mike, man, I want to say that to you. I apologize to you, bro. I love you, but that's how me and Mike really met. And then ever since then, me and Mike ain't never had a bad word. He's on a law enforcement. He knows how I feel about him, but I love him. He's my dude, and I rock with him any day. Mike, welcome to the show, bro.
Hey, thanks, Smith. I appreciate it, man. I just truly appreciate the fact that you recognize me outside of the uniform, right? Because
Absolutely.
really my role is I want people to see law enforcement officers as humans, right? Not as these robotic characters, and I try to train my staff. Let me see your personality. You know what I mean? Because we don't
Mm-hmm.
show our personality. We're real robotic. We're by the book, letter of the law,
Yes.
tactical.
Yes.
But no, I want you to see us having fun,
Yes. Yes.
and so I truly appreciate it, because we all have these implicit biases until we get to know someone. Then we
Yes.
get to know me, like, man, because I'm telling you, man, people hear you the police and they say, oh man, I can't be the police. But when I start telling you what we do as cops, it motivates a lot of
Right.
people. and they
right.
could see themselves being cops, you know.
Well, and another part about that is, oh, he's the police. Now you change how you act. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? You put up
Yeah.
a guard, you put up a defense, and now
Yes.
both of you unknowingly fall victim to perception. You know what I'm
Perception.
saying?
Right.
And that I think might leads to some of the issues. And I'm gonna share this with you, Mike, because this is totally off script, but just what you
Sure.
just said. So I was talking to, he's the newly appointed chief here in Vacaville, and I had spoke to him before he became, and this was maybe 2 years ago. And I had told him, because he's a white guy, and he's what I respect about him, Mike, is he acknowledges he doesn't know. He comes from a different environment. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, Smith, man, he was like, I and my colleagues don't know how to engage these young kids. And I was like, okay, that's fair, because they don't know how to engage you. And you know that, Mike. It doesn't matter what nationality you are. It's just the perception. It's the outfit, right?
Right.
And so I told him, I said, you know what? Inherently, you're a bad guy, because that's the only time people call you is when something bad happens. So your interaction initially is a negative one. So what I had told him, Mike, and maybe you could follow up on this and give me your input and what your thoughts are. I had said, dude, why don't you do this? Regardless of what your title is in law enforcement, whether you're an officer, whether you're a detective, whether you're a sergeant, chief, whatever, how about every month random people take a turn to call local citizens? Hey, I'm Sergeant so and so from this city. How are you guys doing today? Again, building a bridge, building this apparatus to knock down the stereotype, because now maybe you get called to a scene or an incident, and just by chance you had talked to these people, or somebody talked to them, and now when you enter into this situation, the people are like, oh man, I had talked to Sergeant Mr. Carroll or whoever. Now the level of anxiety might come down a bit, and we might interact differently. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So Smith, what you're talking about is called community capital policing, right?
Okay.
And so what that is that's where law enforcement, we have to let go of some of the barriers that create this divide, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for community capital policing, which we use at San Jose State, I have each one of my officers working with the student group or a campus organization. They're there as the liaison, building that rapport, right? And once you got that rapport, something happened, and like, say for instance, you're part of the Black organization, I'm your representative. When something happened, you're going to say, hey, I know Mike, let me go talk to him. As opposed to when the incident occurred, that's our first contact, right?
Yes.
So we've already built a rapport already. So now you can say, hey, Mike, this is what happened. And it's not uncomfortable to talk to me because we've been talking all the time. Give you an example of that. Had a young lady, she's a sophomore at San Jose State. She wants to be an attorney, a defense attorney, right? And so when I'm part of I'm the liaison for the Black students at San Jose State. And so I asked her, why you want to be a defense attorney? Because there's a lot of problems. People need help, right? I said, okay. I said, I totally respect it. I said, but do me a favor. Before you become a defense attorney, would you be open to working with the police department just to learn that side? And she said, well, they won't hire me. I said, okay, why don't you do this? You show some interest, you fill out an application, I'll create a job for you. Right. So she filled out a generic application. I created a job for her. She's working for me right now as the assistant to my executive assistant. And so I spoke to her the other day. She was like, I never knew you guys do so much stuff. See, because all we hear, especially from the African American community, we hear about the police shooting someone. We hear about the police doing someone dirty. We hear about somebody going to jail. Right. We don't think about all the other ancillary things that we have to do. That's part of our responsibility. Right. Because all the things that other people should be doing with their job and they're not doing, it falls under the umbrella of law enforcement. You know what I mean? So,
right.
And when the parents not doing their job, the police has to come in, or the teacher's not doing their job, the police.
And that goes back to what I said, that inherent emotional strain is because, again, it's the job. You know what I'm saying? And then I also want to throw this into what you just said and sharing that story about that wonderful young lady is when we don't know. when we don't know and we think we know. So just the video you shared with my cousin and my brother-in-law, folks,
Yeah.
if you haven't seen it, Mike, you go ahead and tell what was that program and what was its purpose, and kind of explain some of the reasoning behind it.
So at the time, it was shortly after George Floyd. So the community had a lot of tension, a lot of stress. Um, at the time, I had some wonderful relationships in the community, but once George Floyd happened, all of my stakeholders decided that they're going to go in a different direction. You know, and a few of them called me and said, "Hey, Mike, you know what? We could no longer partner with you because we saw what happened in George Floyd. That this just impact our ability to continue to maintain our relationship." So one day I decided that I'm going to bring them out to what is called a force option simulator. So I asked the pastor, I said, before you make this decision, can you just do me one favor? He said, what is this? I said, on Saturday, can you bring some of your pastors and friends out to Santa Rita jail? I want to run you guys through this little exercise. He said, Mike, we'll be there. But trust me, a lot of the fellas already have their mind made up as to what they're going to do. So I invited Parrish, your cousin, out, and his friend. And so the whole role was to get them a chance to just walk in the shoes of a law enforcement officer. And so the first scenario was a scenario where Cal's head basketball coach was to address an issue on the scene. So it's a video, an interactive video. So when you point your gun at something, it'll show you where you're pointing the gun, or you can pull your taser out. So the coach's job was to go address the individual that they were going to arrest on a warrant. And so as he and his cover went into the house, they saw the father who had a warrant. They placed him under arrest. Then his son comes out of the corner and he has a gun. He's pointing it at the officer, which is the coach. The coach turns around and boom, 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 shot the kid 3 times, killed him. Right. Perfect. And so shortly after that, the next person went up. So to turn on the light, the coach is just sweating profusely. He said, Mike, I need some air. I need some air. I'm like, what's going on? He said, man, my heart won't stop racing. And I'm thinking, like, this dude is about to hyperventilate off of a video, Smith.
Yeah.
So then what I did was I spoke to the coach. He recovered and what have you. Then I took your cousin Parrish out to a live scenario. So his job was, he and his partner, they were in a patrol car. They're going to do a traffic stop on a truck, which is about 15, 20 feet ahead of them. So as the both of them got out of the car, they're armed with inert guns, which have fake bullets in it.
Right.
So as they're making their approach, they're looking at all the equipment. The equipment has to fit right and all of that stuff, right? So as they're making their approach to the car, the driver of the car exits the car at a high rate of speed, but he's exiting the car with the shotgun. He turns around and he points it and he shoots towards Parrish. He points it and shoots towards Parrish's partner. And both of them screaming, what the hell? What the hell? Then they go for cover and they can't find their gun. One of them dropped the gun. Duty belt was all sideways. It was a Barney Fife moment, right?
Absolutely.
So after that, they went to another scenario where a young man had a stick, but he was rummaging through the garbage can. And so as he was rummaging through the garbage can, they approached him and said, excuse me, sir, can you put your hands up? Put your hands up. So the guy put his hands up, but he had the stick in one hand. And so he was swinging it like this. And I think Parrish unloaded his whole magazine on the guy. His partner was just like still unloading. So the guy goes to the ground and got his hands on the ground and his partner is still shooting at him. And I'm like, dude, that's excessive force.
Right.
So as the both of them, as the scenario ended, both of them come up and give each other a high five.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, all of that is on body worn camera.
Right.
And so you don't know, Smith, what it's like until you actually walk in the shoes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so they really had a valuable learning lesson on that day.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Mike, because I know I'm laughing only because I know those two individuals and how they talk against what I saw. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a valuable tool when we put people in places that's uncomfortable. And that's new, because now you see the role. It basically goes back to that exercise where you fall back and trust people. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know what's going on, and so you have to trust somebody, right? And I think, Mike, talk to this for me if you can, because just organically, I'm trust.
Yeah.
You know, I think there is a obvious, tangible disconnect of trust
Yes.
between. I don't even want to just say the Black community. I'm saying society at large with
Right.
law enforcement, right? How do we rebuild that trust? What does that look like? What are the steps? I know the work you do, Mike.
Yeah.
I know you did the barbershop forum. I know this work. I know you go out to the community. I know you was awarded NAACP. I know this. What do we take to build our society where we can really trust and honor someone and respect the work that they do when they come into our life in a very hectic and violent, ugly situation?
I really think trust start with, and I'm going to use the Black community, right? Trust with law enforcement in the Black community, it starts with bringing the Black community into law enforcement, right? We need more Black officers, right? We need people who look like you, look like me, to come out and deal with some of the things that we have in our society. I'm not saying I want you to work your neighborhood, where you grew up at, but we need to have you in the department because, one, you will see things and learn things that you can go into your own circle and share, right? Two, people from the community know you, will trust you, and know that you will do the right thing. If you be a police officer in your community, people know where your mama live.
Right.
They know where your sister live. So if you go out there and you act mischievous, they're gonna be like, "Excuse me, Miss Jones, your son." You know what I mean? So you're gonna be held accountable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trust begins with us being transparent as a law enforcement agency, transparent as to what took place and how it took place, why it took place. Right? I'm gonna show you. I don't have it with me. I'm tapping my chest. But the body worn camera, right? That body worn camera, the great thing about that is it shows the great things that these officers are doing, right? Periodically, it'll catch something negative that the officers are doing, but you use that as a training moment, right? And when you see something that's on there that's egregious or questionable, you have to own it. Yeah, we made some bad choices, right? But if I continue to say, hey, my officers operated within the confines of our policy, well, in actuality, I'm just eating at the integrity of the department. You know what I mean? And so it's just being transparent. We really need our officers and our agencies to look at our core values, right? Our core values describe who we are. And if you go to most agencies, the core values, they look good. They're pretty words on the wall, but are they actionable?
Here we go. Actionable.
So with San Jose State, our core values are community. So if I say my core value is community, I better see you out in the community.
For sure.
I better see you building relationships, partnering, collaborating, something, if that's your core value, right? The other one is being innovative. So it's innovation, right? So we're building relationships in areas that we normally don't have relationships. Right now, I'm really, really trying to build a relationship with the Mexican community, especially primarily the immigrant community, right? Because I'm trying to run a program where I work with the Mexican consulate and our undocumented students so we can bring them together so that they can get the resources they need to become naturalized citizens, right?
Absolutely.
So that's an innovative concept, right? We're also we're doing so many different innovative things with all the officers working in the community and building relationships and partnerships. The next one is honor, right? If honor is your core value, you better wear this uniform with honor and pride, right? You better be professional. You better treat people with respect. You know what I mean? And so you also better have some integrity because those are our core values. So now we're working in the community, we're being innovative, and we're being professional. So you need to see that in San Jose State. If you don't see that, then it's like, why is that your core value if you don't even hold up to it? So that's where trust really, really starts.
Okay. Hey, and thank you for sharing that, Mike. I think it's profound, my man. And I appreciate what you're doing and whatever I could do to support you. You know how to find me. I just want to highlight really quick because, again, like you said, actionable. The fact that, you brought in local pastors to do that specific training. You brought in UC Berkeley basketball coach. I think it's phenomenal because these are the people that are in our community that have hands on our young men. You know what I'm saying? When you go to the barbershop, and I've always been a big fan of that. That's where the bros be. That's where young men be. But again, at the same time, that's where That's where biases are formed as well as in
Right.
the barbershop, right? And if you're a young first grader and you hear something that the older head is saying, you start to form this opinion of law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? So I thought it was very poignant that you went in there to do that. And then also just circling back, man, just to highlight you as a human being. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we see Merchandise Mike the Chief, you know what I'm saying, and doing the work and trying to be the change. But again, trying to connect it to the human part. Bruh, like, why did you go to Ghana?
Yeah.
You know, did you ever see yourself going to Ghana? You know, what was that whole experience like, bruh?
Yeah. So Smith, many people don't know, but I was a knucklehead growing up, right? I was on something called School to Prison Pipeline, but I was on like what is called the fast track. You know what I mean? So you know how you get on the freeway and there's a fast track lane? I was in that lane, but to prison, right?
Hey, you was the avid student.
No, I was adamant. I was going to prison, right?
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
a lot of people don't know that part of my life, right? A lot of people don't know the struggles I had in high school, and they don't understand how did I get into Berkeley, right? And so then they don't understand why was I working at juvenile hall? They don't understand why I became a cop. So I'm writing a book right now on my life, right? And it's about 60% done. It's called The Enduring Struggle, Living Black While Wearing Blue, right? And so it explains my upbringing, right? And it explained the transformation and how it took place. You know, many people don't know I was in the hospital for 4 days in a coma, right? Many people don't know that I got shot 4 times. They don't know that. All they know is that's Chief Mike Carroll. You guys see the finished product. This is the finished product, right? You don't see what took place. So in my journey, I wanted to know, where did I come from, right? Yeah, I know my mom. I know my dad. I know my dad grew up in Arkansas. My mom come from Texas. They came over through the Great Migration, right? But where did my people come from, right? And so once I did my 23andMe in Ancestry.com, it says, hey, a vast majority of your blood come from Ghana. So I wanted to go back and just trace history to see what was it like in Ghana, you know, where my ancestors lived, right? And just to go there and see they're not as affluent as America, but they're making it, right? And just to see people just naturally happy, they don't have to have all the luxuries in life. They're just happy on life. You know what I mean? And just to see how helpful they are. They don't have everything that we have here, but they have the basics, and that suffice for them. You know what I mean? You can just see Africa's a beautiful place, man. It's like it was overwhelming, and you get this emotional rush once you land because they say welcome home, right? And here's a country that tell you welcome home when the United States tell you you don't belong here. You know what I mean?
Wow,
so
that's powerful, Mike.
The crazy thing is, there's a part of the tour where you go to one of the dungeons. They're trying to call it a castle, but in essence, it's a dungeon. And you see where the slaves were held prior to getting on the ship. And if you could see those confines and how tight it was, and it was all standing room only, and you stood like this for like 2, 3, 4 days until the ship came, you couldn't even lay down to sleep or use the restroom. And so just to see that and see what they've gone through, and as they're taking you out of that dungeon and putting you on a ship, over the door, it says the point of no return, which means you're not supposed to come back, right? And so now in 2019, they created what's called the door of the return. So now they say you're not coming back to this country ever again. Now they created the space for you to come back and say, hey, welcome home. You know what I mean? And that was just a huge feeling.
Good man. Hey, Mike, bro, that's powerful. You know what I'm saying? You know, man, bro, like we all got to figure out, or at least recognize who we are. And you know, you said something earlier, Mike, man, I really appreciate, like, this is the finished product, right? You don't know the struggles that we went through. And that's why I'm doing this, because I want you to know the struggles that Mike went through. I want you to know the struggles I went through. I want you to know the struggles that we all been through. Man, and it ain't easy. You know, it wasn't easy. It wasn't like, oh, Merchandise Mike just became the chief. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to go through something. And I think that growth, man, is phenomenal. I know you mentioned the city. Was it Aurora?
And Ghana?
Yeah.
No, it's called Accra. Accra is the capital. Yes.
Talk to me about Accra. What's it like, man?
You know, like I said, they're not as developed as United States, so you see a lot of poverty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Little things you take for granted here in the United States, like say for instance, a small check, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you complain, I got to go pay $50 for a small check. But when you go to Accra, they don't have small checks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So most of their cars don't have mufflers. So it is
Mm-hmm.
filled with pollution in the air. So it is some advancements that needs to be made there. You do see a lot of the shanty towns,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's certain areas where you see beautiful homes, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you see people who have a generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
You see they have what is called tribalism, right? So they have a
Okay.
number of tribes there, and so you could see the structure. You know, what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You look at the land. The land itself, it's the trees are a different type of green. You know, our trees are green, right?
Yeah.
But these, I will call this a happy green. It seems like
I heard that.
the leaves are just shaking, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a whole different feeling, man. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
you really feel like, hey, you know what? You know, it's almost like suspending judgment, right? Like you said, judge me, right?
Right.
When you go to Africa, you could suspend judgment because you don't have nobody judging you off of
Yeah.
your race. Oh, here come see, because a black man, you experience racism the minute you walk out of your house until you go all the way to work, all the way to lunch, all the way back to work, all the way back home. You
Mm-hmm.
experience racism or some type of bias, right?
Mm-hmm.
When
Mm-hmm.
you go to Ghana, you don't experience that.
Mm.
So it's kind of like they took your traps out because your shoulders drop and you can relax. You know
Damn,
what I
Mike. Mike, Sunday school, baby. Sunday school. You got me vibing, bro. Like you, hey man,
mean?
I am definitely afraid of flying, man. And that's one of my
Yeah,
biggest reasons to not going to Africa.
yeah,
Mitzi, the entire fam, they want to go. So I'm working on it. Thank
yes.
you for providing that motivation because I've heard some things and I'm really interested in it. The last thing before we get out of here, again, connecting merchandise Mike, the chief, with the human part. Come on, man. Tell them about running with the Bulls, dog.
Well, so I did a couple of things. I did the running with the Bulls. That was amazing. But it's something that we have to experience. Traveling is like getting a college degree. You learn
Talk
so
to me.
much, right? And so I went to Spain. One, because I heard about the running of the Bulls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in my mind, I'm thinking, oh man, I'm gonna get over there. I just want to get a FaceTime. I want to be on FaceTime live, and I want to just spank a bull on his butt and then run off, right?
This is
So
the chief of San Jose State Police, people.
and so Smith, I get there. So the bars open at 2 a.m, and so everybody's drinking early in the morning, and so the race starts at 7. So now people had a 5-hour head start on drinking. Well, if the race started at 7, about 6:50, this water truck come through and it wets down the whole runway, right?
Not
And so
good.
now you're on cobblestone streets that's soaking wet, and now they release 13 bulls.
Mm.
Each bull is the size of a navigator, like a SUV. And when they run, they're stomping, right? And they're stomping, they're shaking the ground, right?
Yeah.
And so everyone's like, hey, the bulls are released. The bulls are released. And so I'm like, okay, so now I get my moment. I'm still on FaceTime live, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm recording because I can't wait for this bull to get here. But when the bull came and he was so big, Smith,
Yeah. Yeah.
I dropped my phone. I just started running. You could be Carl Lewis. You could be Carl Lewis,
Right.
but because there's so many people in this densely congested spot, you can't really get off like you want to.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was in the middle of the intersection, they put these wood frames up so that, it's blocking the street. So I'm running and the bull is about 10 feet from me. I jump on that wooden board that's blocking the street. And as I'm holding on, Italian or a Spanish police officer come from over the top, and he's beating me like Rodney King. He's
damn.
And so the only thing I could say, because right as he's beating me, the bull run right underneath me, so my butt was on his back, right? And he's beating me. All I said, Smith, was the golden words: "Me, policia." He said, "You, policia?" I said, "Si, policia, United States." He pulls me over. He said, "You idiot! What are you doing out there?" I said, "I'm in
Oh
the United
man.
States." But it was a
Hey,
wonderful experience. And Smith is gruesome, though. It is
yeah,
really,
yeah,
really gruesome. I
yeah.
think 9 people died. So many
Man.
people got full gored. They didn't
Mm,
die from the full gore, but
right.
they gotten full gored. Bulls. I mean, you have a 4,000-pound bull following you.
Yeah.
It was gory, to be honest with you. So yeah.
Well, listen. Only you, Mike. Only you.
Hey Smith, so I swam with the sharks out in Hawaii about 4 months ago. This February on the 13th, I'm flying out to Kenya. I'm going on a couple of safaris over there. So I'm gonna
Okay.
try to get something over there. I don't know what,
Yeah.
but
Of course you are. Of course you are, Mike. Of course you are.
it wouldn't be the same if I didn't, right, Smith?
Absolutely not. I would not expect nothing less from you, Mike. Hey, dog, again, I cannot extend enough gratitude and
Sure.
flowers to you for just being present, man, and just being the dude you are. Again, folks, we have to understand, man, if we're going to grow our Black community, we have to understand some things, man, and look differently at some things. You know what I'm saying? Mike, before we get up out of here, man, just say what's on your heart, man, about how we grow, how we sustain, you know what I'm saying? How do we protect our Black community? So, my great grandsons and your great grandsons can have something that looks like the privilege that other folks have.
Right. Yeah. What we have to do is we have to try it on ourselves, right?
Mm,
We can't allow other people to formulate opinions for us, share their experiences so that it thwart our desires to want to do things. Like I said, I never thought about being a cop. I was always anti-law enforcement. And I took it I decided, hey, I'm gonna go give it a shot. You know what I mean? And I think that was the best thing I ever done other than having kids, right? But as a Black community, especially as men, we have to continue to have these conversations. This summer, I'm going to be hosting a men's retreat amongst us. You're going to get an invitation, but people who look like us, who think like us, who come from the same background as us, so that we could sit down and have a open, transparent conversations. The last couple of months, I've been having these pockets of communication with Black men and trying to galvanize, teach, and educate. This is on implicit bias, emotional intelligence, in regards to taxes, you name it. We have that conversation in a safe and friendly space. So we have to continue to lead by example. Be open to mentoring. Be open to providing opportunities. You know what I mean? And if we continue to do that, you will see success because our kids are watching us and they're going to feed off of what we're doing. My thing is use me as a tool and as a resource. And I'm going to always be here for you and whoever else that you refer me to, because that's what my role is. I signed up to be a public servant, and that's what I strive to do. So whatever you need, hit me up.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that, Mike. Thank you so much. Look here. I took I wrote a lot of notes down from what we just had the discussion on. But the one thing I think that flew under the radar, but is most impactful for me because I need to still evolve as a man, is how you said, they took your traps out. You know what I'm saying? So you can let your shoulders down and relax.
This is where your stress is at.
Oh, I know.
And so once they cut these, your arms could just relax, man. I'm telling you. And that's what happens when you go to Africa.
Yeah. No, that's powerful, Mike, because as well as I know, we've been walking around with a mean mug for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It builds up, right there. So, Mike, man, thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you. Go out, tell your fam I said what's up. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy your day. Keep doing the work that you're doing. And until next time, man, I'll tap in with you.
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity. Okay, Smith?
Yes, sir, man. Appreciate you. Folks, look here, man. You know how your boy rock. Just keeping it 1,000 with my man, Merchandise Mike. Like I said, I've been knowing that dude for a long time. I know his family, outstanding. See, we have these conceptualized, form biased opinions about what other people do, whether that's law enforcement, whether that's politicians, whether that's rabbis, whether that's women, whether it's men, whether it's youth, whoever. We have these foreign biases that we just want to cling to when some of us refuse to just listen. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to conform, but maybe if you just listen, some things could change. You know what I'm saying? And you heard my man say, you know, he was totally anti-law enforcement. Then now this dude is the chief. Again, I'm not saying you need to become the chief. I'm not even saying you need to be part of law enforcement. I'm just saying maybe listen to somebody, or better yet, encourage a young person to get exposed in a positive way in law enforcement. That way, that young person can then become the change that we all would like to see within the law enforcement community and environment, because we just can't keep praying. We just can't keep hoping that these changes are going to come to pass. Right. You know, that's one thing I think I pride myself on, is that I'm not just here talking, but I'm actually doing the work or providing substance of quality that you can take and you can do your due diligence on to be a part of the change. You know what I'm saying? So again, I can't thank Merchandise Mike enough for coming in and sharing all of that wisdom, his lived experience, his honest, true lived experience. And I hope you take that free game with you on Sunday school. And if it's not for you, maybe, you know, it's for somebody else that you love and care for, you know. With that being said, I will share the story if I get up out of here. So yesterday, you know, me and grandson, my 4-year-old grandson, we out. He want, you know, to ride his bike. You know, on our little driveway, it's a little hill. It's not major, but for him, it's a huge hill. So, you know, he thinks he can ride up, but he'll get stuck because he doesn't want to pedal. So, you know, I had made a conscious decision. Now, what you got to understand, this is my oldest grandson. Me and this dude rock. Like, this is my dude. Like, you know, I got 2 grandsons and they both, well, I'm gonna put my life down for them. You know what I'm saying? The youngest is still trying to, you know, learn how to walk, but, you know, I'm gonna get him to, but, and so I've been doing everything, like, you know, almost to a fault. I'm enabling the oldest. And so yesterday, you know, I made a conscious decision. He got halfway up on his bike onto the driveway and he stopped and he's looking at me. He started crying. People, I can't do it. And I said, grandson, I love you too much for me to come down there and help you right now. You know, I need you to do this on your own. And if you can't figure it out, you're going to have to try, you know. And he sat there boo-hooing and crying for a good 2-3 minutes. And it hurt my heart because I want to go and help him. But in my mind, I understand, you know, sometimes we have to let people do things on their own to help them grow and help them evolve. You know what I'm saying? And eventually he got off that bike and figured out, you know, he's going to walk it down. And, you know, we went on from there. But again, you know, if you love somebody enough and you want them to live in a world that's changed, then you have to sometimes remove yourself and your feelings from it and let them figure it out on their own. We can't just keep telling people, oh, politics is bad, law enforcement is bad, these people are bad, that's bad. Maybe if we introduce it to them and then let them be the judge and let them kind of like figure some things out, maybe then we can start to see the change that we want to over time. And again, I've been saying this for the longest time. The work I'm doing, the work Mike is doing, the work other brothers are doing around this globe, we're trying to deconstruct something that's been in place, that's been working properly in place for centuries. It's not going to happen overnight. We have to give it time. We have to give it grace, but we still have to be diligent in the work. It's an oxymoron, but it is the oxymoron that I believe is going to take us to where we want to at least experience the privilege that some other folks have. Folks, that's the show. Smith the Speaker, man. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget, before you get up out of here, hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave a message, tap in with me. You know what I'm saying? It's Free Game Sunday School month, doing what we do, trying to make sure that the folks get the game that they need. Before I get up out of here, bro, you already know, man, like, go have a conversation with somebody that doesn't look like you. It doesn't sound like you. And if you shut up and listen, you just might learn something. Beautiful Black people, you know I love you. Till next time.